So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about Andie, and then I'm going to go ahead and hand the show off to her. So Andie Thrams grew up roaming the woodlands of the San Francisco Bay Area and began her career as a working artist while still in high school. She earned a bachelor's in art practice from UC Berkeley. And about her studio work, Andie writes, "When I sit quietly in wild places, studying each leaf and each color, every brushstroke weaves me more intimately into my surroundings. Separateness fades, and my sense of wonder and reverence for life forms that continue to thrive on our small planet deepens. Biophilia lies at the heart of what I do." It's been my personal pleasure to cross paths with Andie many times while working at SFCB, and I'm really looking forward with not only seeing her studio, but also hearing about what she's been up to lately and seeing more of her work. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and I'll hand things over to Andie. I'm going to spotlight you, Andie, and away we go.
All righty. Jenny, thank you so much. We're mutual fans for sure. And thank you all for coming today and diving into the uncertain experience that Zoom provides all of us. It's just so much fun. I'm seeing lots of names I know and many that I don't, so that's a real treat. And thanks to everyone at the San Francisco Center for the Book. I'm going to share a little bit about why I'm eternally grateful to the center. But let's dive in. What I'm going to do is kind of a slide presentation, and then I'm going to do the live studio tour, and then we'll have Q&A at the end. So let's see. I'm going to share my screen. And there we go. Jenny, are we good?
Yes, everything looks great.
Okay, wonderful. I'm going to scooch over because I have to push these buttons up here. Let's see. I think that, is that going to work for me? I think I might just stand up. There we go. Okay, so this is what I did long, long ago. Botanical illustration. And when I landed at the Center for the Book, I was keeping field journals. I had been doing that my whole life. And this was sort of the kind of journals I was keeping at the time. I had a hard time finding a journal that I liked, that had nice paper. You can see like the cockling in one of these sheets, and I could just never find the right format and the right paper. So I went to the Center for the Book in total desperation, hoping that I could learn how to bind my own journals. So I had thought until that time of my field journals as source material and not with any kind of potential as an art form, but getting to the center and finding out about the whole world of artist books changed that forever for me. And so that's the reason I'll be always and forever grateful. One thing that happened was I started to recognize that the outdoors is my studio. So that's why we're starting here with some examples of what I was doing exactly a year ago. That's what it looked like here last year. And that's what it looks like right now. You can see my painting set up. And then this is a little quick video. I've got a number of 1-minute videos to share with you. So this is a short hike, about half an hour's hike from where we live. And that's one of my little kits for taking outside. And I just wanted to share some of these videos so that you can see how it happens for me. I like to just sit down right in the middle of everything and get out my tools and toys and get to work. So here's some examples of paintings that have some writing. You might be able to see, I often weave writing into the paintings, both in my watercolor paintings and also in my books. So then the question is, what is it about books and how that all transformed for me from being just sort of field journals as source material to field journals as one of my art forms. So the biggest reason, well, they're all big reasons actually. Obviously, folded sheets of paper, a huge sheet of paper can fold up into something quite small. And I love that I can make something really large out of something I can fit into my pack or my kayak. I love combining the imagery with text. I like to write down what's going on where I am at the time. I love the sequential aspect. Oh, there's a funny green line on there. I like walking in the forest, and I find that accordion books sort of echo the shadowy aspect, and especially in that one down below in the giant sequoias, you can kind of see that the book itself creates shadow and dimension, and I really love that. I love the folding screens. Somebody's drawing on my drawings. That's kind of fun. It's my first interactive Zoom.
Wow.
That's a wild thing. Huh. Anyway, and I've always loved medieval manuscripts and the combination of illumination, a sense of the sacred, using gold and palladium leaf is something I do in some of my books. And so yeah, those are some of the reasons for books. And let's see. Uh-oh, I've got a frozen screen, Jenny.
Uh-oh.
I wonder if it's something to do with those lines happening. I am not doing that. Should I start it over?
Yes, I understand the lines are from static. So you maybe want to try again.
Yeah, maybe Andy, if you want to stop screen share and then go ahead and restart screen sharing.
Okay, let's try that.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's a first. Thanks, everybody. Okay, good. It went right. Okay.
And so now, just move forward to the slide we were at.
Okay.
There we go.
Yay.
Perfect.
Okay, so here's some examples. This is one book, a fairly recent book done in the Pacific Northwest. It's about 11 inches high and about 30 something inches wide, maybe 38 inches wide. And that's going to be in the Reclamation Show at Center for the Book. When is that going to be, Jenny?
That exhibit opens June 9th.
Soon. So again, it's a forest, and you can see the kind of shadows created by the accordion itself. And there's a lot of writing woven into the tree trunks. So in response to this last year, which has been your basic shitstorm, sorry, but I just can't think of any other term sometimes, I felt a need to do something else. So this idea of creating forest prayer flags to reflect both my sense of grief, just about our cultural mess, our environmental mess, choosing a very somber palette to work with, the whole idea of using just black and white and shades between. All of those things felt right to me at the time. And I feel quite strongly that it's really important to allow ourselves to go into the grief and the sadness in order to fully experience our own joy and delight. Just because it's a hard time on planet Earth doesn't mean we can't have a great time. But I do feel I need to look at this stuff. So these are large sheets of paper. They're about 13 by 39 or 40 inches. I'm using tree sap and charcoal, wildfire charcoal found in the forest, and different kinds of ink, mostly. A little bit of watercolor and mica also. So I'm also collaborating with scientists on this project, and they're answering a questionnaire. I'm incorporating some of their information, and I plan to have a book that goes along with all of these that discusses both the science and the imagery and ideas for what you can do. So that sort of took me through last spring, and then with nowhere really to go and no teaching and no friends to visit and such a crazy time, my husband and I decided that our best solution was to just go to the mountains. And so we spent the better part of last summer and well into the fall backpacking in the Southern Sierra and a little bit up here in the Northern Sierra. So this is getting out all my stuff. You can see field guide and binoculars and thermos for tea, water, all the things that I take outside with me. And try that. I'm stuck again.
Let's see.
Wow. Somebody's giving me secret signal. Oh, okay.
There we go. Yeah.
So off we go. And sometimes we car camped and sometimes we backpacked. There is how we usually slept, occasionally in tents, but mostly on the ground. And this is just what I do. I work sitting on the ground with everything in my lap. This is a little video. This is a giant forest in Sequoia National Park. So for backpacking, I take really small books. I don't take the forest prayer flags backpacking. This is a backcountry forest, giant sequoia forest in Sequoia National Park. You can see our bear canisters, my sleeping bag under my knees to be comfy, and our thermarest type chairs. And then eventually we left the low lush forest and went to the high country in search of the foxtail pines. So foxtail pines are another of my favorite trees. They are found only in the Southern Sierra at very high elevations. They have very animated shapes, and this is camping at 10,000 feet, pretty darn chilly, and just an amazing place to be. Throughout most this summer, we hardly ever saw anyone anywhere. As we started to come back out of the backcountry in August, this is how it looked. The wildfires were starting to rage across the state. While I was working in Sequoia, I would wear a mask if I was on public trails. And you in the Bay Area had one of those orange days, orange sky days. This is what it looked like in Sequoia National Park at the time. This is another short video. So I wanted to share this stuff with you all because it really most everything I do happens in the outdoors. It really is my studio. The only things I do indoors are finishing touches like binding things, applying gold leaf. Sometimes my paintings will need a little bit of something to be done, and it helps to have the perspective of coming back in out of the complicated habitat of the outdoors. And then this is to show the forest prayer flags in this rig that I have, using a tripod and clips and folding panels and carrying the large sheets of paper rolled up. This is the little cabin, the field station in Wolverton in Sequoia National Park, where I was very fortunate to be able to stay and work. And I think since time is short, we're just going to move on from that. And this is towards the end of our journey. Some painting in the fall. And then I came back and had to figure out how to teach on Zoom. That's the Zoom setup here in the studio. This is some of the work I brought back. And then here we are at the end with some thanks to people who've helped me. And there are the prayer flags hanging in our home forest right here. So let's see here. Where's my little cursor? Stop share. Now I'm getting the hang of it, Jenny.
You're doing great.
Okay, so we're gonna now do a quick studio tour. So can everyone see that?
Yes, it looks great.
Okay, good. So I'm gonna duck under, and Jenny and I had this idea yesterday. I've just put my document camera on a lazy Susan. So my studio is quite small. It's 12 by 18. It's just a bedroom. So we'll just scroll around. The curtains have a supply closet, you know, the deal, shelves and plastic bins. This is my wall easel where I can hang things up and work with things hanging up on the wall like that. And then come all the way around to the windows. And then that's my amazing golden color chart that I just totally love. And there's a flat files under there and a bunch of the work from summer. That's the table where I work on my watercolors. And then more drawers, more storage, and there we are, back where we started. So let's see. I also wanted to show you guys, I'm going to tip this down now. See if we can get it oriented okay. Not so bad there. I'll prop things up.
And we do have a couple questions whenever you're ready, Andie.
Yeah, you can throw them my way, and then
Yeah?
I'll show some things and talk and answer and do it all at once.
So someone asks about your wall easel. What is the backboard made of?
The backboard is just painted gator board. I painted it because the white was just so disturbingly bright. And so it's just spray painted with a gray paint. Yeah, and so if you want to email me for the guy's name who makes the wall easels, I'm happy to share that. And let's see, shall I show a couple things and then we'll do some?
Yeah, please do.
So I wanted to share these because they are using natural materials. This is soaked in a slurry of stuff that has manzanita bark, giant sequoia sap, a really cool fungus that grows in the forest that J.R. Blair up at Field Camp gave me. So I soak the paper and then draw with twigs and stick and different kinds of ink And I really like having things be kind of random at the beginning and then sort of narrow down what I'm up to as I work. This has some spore prints from the caps of fungi collected. And here's an example. I don't know if this was in the video, but this is another example of a painting. This one's on cave paper, which was really weird and wonderful to paint on. And it's so tough and strong and durable. I know I'm going to play with it some more for painting. But I love that it, you know, it really does feel kind of foresty to me, the way that the folds and the accordion go. And then there's a lot of writing. So the writing in the books usually addresses things like what I'm seeing and hearing, and also what I am experiencing emotionally. And this last year, there's a lot of difficult emotions that need to be expressed. Sometimes I just paint right over it. Sometimes I don't. So this little book has some gold leaf in it. I don't know if you can see the shine, maybe a little bit. But I love adding a little bit of gold leaf. It just, for me, implies something being sacred and magic. And I think last thing I'll show you before we go to Q&A is this is one of the prayer flags. And see if you can see some of the shine. So the tree sap creates this amazing shine, and it also creates translucency in the paper. So if they hang, light shines through where the sap is, and that's a really fun thing. That was an unexpected fun thing. So I think that's plenty for now. That's a bunch of collected sap, collected wildfire charcoal. You can tell we like this stuff. It makes the greatest storage containers. And I'm going to switch my camera back and we can go for questions.
Nice. We have a fair amount, so I would love to pitch some your way. Let's see. Wow, people are so excited about your work. That is the first thing I'm going to say. Mary Elizabeth wonders, do you do the writing in the field or in the studio?
No, the writing is very much about the experience. Everything in my work is very much about the moment-to-moment experience of being in a wild place. Yeah, I don't edit, I don't rewrite. The only writing that would happen in the studio might be, you know, adding the title onto the book. Otherwise, no.
Courtney wants to know, do you pull inspiration from reading as well as nature? And if so, what are you reading right now?
Oh, what a great question. I'm reading science. So these scientists have shared a bunch of stuff. And so that's been really interesting and inspiring. It's also very disturbing and dire. There isn't one scientist I've had contact with who hasn't expressed the same kind of despair that I experience. They're just coming at it from a data place, as well as, I mean, all these scientists who work in forests, they're there because they love trees. So yeah, I have a question in my questionnaire about what gives you hope. And I've actually had a number of scientists fill everything else in and leave that blank. Wow. Yeah, so I don't know if that's inspiration, but that is definitely important information and comes into what I'm up to. Thanks, Courtney. There are more fun things that I'm reading too.
Brian is curious to know if you ever have trouble with paper cracking. Do you always fold before painting, or do you sometimes fold afterwards?
Great questions. I do both because, you know, if I'm going backpacking, I've got to fold it ahead of time, unless it's rolled. So that has to happen. So paper grain, super important. You cannot fold against a grain and have that be okay. I've experimented over the years with different papers and have found some work really nicely and some are terrible. Some of my favorite watercolor papers just don't work that well when folded. So it's really important, like anything in the book arts, you got to test and make models and see what works for you. Yeah.
And just a little note of housekeeping. I'm getting a lot of questions about materials that you use, and we may run out of time, but you told me, Andie, that if people sign up for your mailing list, which can be found on your website, yes, they will receive a list, right, of your favorite tools and materials.
Yeah, so if you go to the contact page on my website, you can sign up for my mailing list if you want to. It's not required, but if you sign up, you get an automatic response that will include a really detailed list of my favorite materials and supplies. But also on that page is just an email form, and you can send me an email. And if you just ask me, I'll share that.
Okay, just for everyone who's asking about materials and supplies. This, I think, is one of my favorite questions. Someone asks if you've had any wildlife encounters out in the big wide world.
Do not get me started. Let's see, I gotta find something. This is my favorite wildlife encounter.
Tell us.
So I don't know if you can see this. But it's a little bottle of ink.
Okay.
It's not very round anymore. It actually has the tooth marks of a bear. So I was in a backcountry grove in Kings Canyon National Park of giant sequoias. And my husband was off, doing what he does, which is hike way longer and further than I do so I can paint. And a bear showed up down below and gradually came my way, but then I didn't see it for a while and I figured it went another direction. I sort of had yelled. So all of a sudden it appeared really close by, just sort of, I was focused on painting and it just kept coming towards me. So, in spite of yelling and doing all those things you do, it kept coming. So I just scooped up all the stuff I could. I mostly wanted to get my food because that's the worst thing is if a bear gets the food, then they get trained up that they get a reward for harassing humans, and that's a bad thing. So I grabbed my food and most of my stuff, but a lot of my stuff I didn't get, including this, my little Thermarest pad that I was sitting on and some other things. And the bear amazingly put this in its mouth and gently dented it, but did not puncture it. I still was able to use ink out of it. It was such an example to me of their amazing intelligence and curiosity. And so I was up on a rock and yelling, "Hey bear, go away bear. I just want to paint. It's your forest. I'll leave in an hour. Can we just all be friends?" And then my husband shows up and says, "Why are you being so mean to the bear? Stop talking like that to the bear." And the bear looks at him and walks away. That's my favorite art and wildlife story. But there's a ton of them because I work alone a lot. So I see a lot of wildlife.
Yeah.
It's a great part of it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's such an amazing story that I think we'll just we'll just leave it right there because it's such a great way to end this session of Shelter in Studio.
Right.
Bear, I love it.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jenny.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so, so much. I want to also thank everyone who attended today. Thank you so much to Andie. We're very excited to have you on board and have you as a Shelter in Studio host this week. Next week, we'll have Ingo Brueggemann as our Shelter in Studio guest. So be sure and sign up early because we do fill up, all the spots fill up sometimes. So that being said, I will see everyone in the future next week. And thank you so much, Andie, for doing our Shelter in Studio this week. Excellent.
Thank you, everyone. It's been a treat.
Yes. Thank you, everyone who jumped online. Super great to see you, and we'll see you again next week.
Bye.
Bye for now.